Hi everyone, I'm audible. Can someone respond?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, give me a second. Let's clear things. Hello.
Hello, sir.
So, shall we start now?
Yeah, ma'am. You're audible right now.
A pleasant afternoon to one and all present here. I, Mariam Khan, student of BCA 4th SEM, extend a warm welcome to our principal, Reverend Dr. Father John PJ, Vice Principal, Dr. Sister Sonia Kurian, Dean Academic, Father Jomi Panathas, HOD Computer Applications Department, Ms. Swati Sharma, Dr. Laila Simon, in charge Research Cell, convener of the workshop, Ms. Gitanjali Khamra, and all respected faculty members and my dear participants. I'm extremely delighted to welcome you all to this national workshop on data visualization using Power BI organized by the Department of Computer Applications in association with the BSSS Research Cell at BSSS Bhopal, an autonomous institute accredited by NAC A+. This workshop serves as a platform for us to expand our horizons, learn from the best, and gain valuable insights into the ever evolving world of data visualization. To all the participants, I encourage you to make the most of this incredible opportunity, engage, ask questions, and actively participate in the sessions. Moving ahead, with great pleasure, I introduce you all to our resource person for this national workshop, Mr. C. Nandish Reddy,
Thank you.
who's a highly accomplished IT professional with an impressive track record of over 6 years in the industry. His expertise and knowledge in the IT field are truly remarkable, and we are extremely fortunate to have him here with us. He possesses an extensive skill set, including a wide range of tools and technologies, particularly Power BI, Power Automate, SQL Server, SSRS, ADF, Azure Analysis Service, and MS Excel. In addition to his technical expertise, Mr. Reddy has garnered experience across diverse business domains. Extensive skill set, including a wide range of tools and technologies, particularly Power BI, Power Automate, SQL Server, SSRS, ADF, Azure Analysis Service, and MS Excel. In addition to his technical expertise, Mr. Reddy has garnered experience across diverse business domains such as e-commerce, banking, SaaS, HR, and FMCG. He's renowned for his problem solving abilities, unwavering commitment to client satisfaction, and his ability to drive operational improvements. We are confident that his experiences will provide us with invaluable guidance, enabling us to enhance our skills and broaden our perspectives. Now, I'd like to give you a few instructions. Kindly follow. Please keep yourself on mute throughout the session. Any queries during the session should be put in the chat box. Tomorrow, after the completion of the workshop, a feedback cum attendance link will be provided, after which you will receive your e-certificates. Now, I would like Nandish sir to take up the opportunity to introduce the students with data visualization on Power BI.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was a wonderful introduction. Thanks for that. So, a warm good afternoon to each and everyone. I can see a huge amount of crowd. Good to see all of you here today. If I can just quickly say about myself, so I'm into the industry from past 6 plus years, and currently I'm working in an startup called Data Tobis, which is a predominantly artificial intelligence based company, and we deal with multiple clients in with multiple technologies, and I predominantly work with Microsoft technologies, be it cloud and on-premise as well. And Power BI is one of the tool which we use for visualization purpose, and there are a lot of tools available in the market, and so Power BI is one of the leading tool since it is associated with Microsoft, and the people who are already familiar with the Excel are getting easily transitioned into Power BI, since most of the features will get sync in between Excel and Power BI. Okay, so the main objective of today and tomorrow would be more or less understanding the use of Power BI, and so how can we make use of Power BI tool to build a beautiful dashboards out of the data sets which whatever we have of maintaining for, be it irrespective of the domain you people are will be working into, be it e-commerce, be it financial sector or healthcare sector and aviation sector, doesn't matter, since it's a universal tool available in the market, which is free as well as of a licensed available tool. So we'll be planning in such a way that we'll be splitting the today's and tomorrow's session in such a way that by end of the session you'll be able to make a little sense out of it, where what is the need of visualizations and how you can use Power BI, especially to build a beautiful dashboards with the data sets which are available with you right now, or I'll be providing certain practice data sets as well. And since Power BI is a very big tool which cannot be learned in a day or something, so it will take easily some 40 to 50 hours to master that specific tool, but will give ease of idea where it will be a good start for each and every one of you to make sense out of this. Okay, so I hope by end of this session it will be like I think I can convince most of the people to start using Power BI whenever they move into the industry. Okay, so I'll quickly just share my screen ahead and we'll proceed further. Okay, yeah. Thank you. I'll just share my screen. Just raise hands in the chat box if you can see my screen. Okay, I hope it's visible now. Can I get some yeses? Okay, great, 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 great. Wonderful. Oh, okay, wonderful. So, if I talk about the visualization aspect, let's say there are multiple tools available in the market. If I talk about Excel is the one fundamental tool every one of you, each and every one of you might have used once in your lifetime till now, be it in college or be it in the schools. So that's a popular tool which is freely available in the aspect of Office 365 under that. So multiple people have been used it. So it's a very basic and fundamental tool that has been came into the market long back, and it's there and it will be there in the market because it's predominantly work on cell based, and you will be you will be able to build a lot of dashboards by using that Excel as well. But if I talk about the advanced BI tools, so Excel is something which we have it for data analysis as well and the dashboard level as well. But if I talk about business intelligence tools which are available in the market right now, Power BI is one such one, and there is Tableau. People might have heard about Tableau as well, and there is something called as Google Analytics right now, and we have ClickSense. So there are multiple tools available in the market right now. Okay, and so this specific Power BI, which is coming from Microsoft, okay, the Microsoft owns Power BI, and which is an advanced version of Excel. So basically, Power BI comes after Excel. People have been used since Excel long back, and they're able to easily get transitioned into Power BI since the formulas or the architecture of it basic predominantly remains same. But now the question comes in is why should I move into Power BI, since Power BI offers a wide range of features which Excel cannot offer. Okay, so we'll talk about those things as well moving forward. Okay, so since we have 2 days, so I'll split these 2 days into two. So today, whenever if at all you're building any kind of dashboards into the market, so that the major steps involves building any dashboard is identifying the data sources. Okay, identifying the data sources are the first step when it comes to any kind of let's uh, let's write. Okay, so to build any dashboard, so the basic fundamental industry followed steps would be identifying the data sources. Okay, so you will be extracting the data, you will be transforming the data. Okay, then you will be loading the data. Okay, so this is predominantly called as ETL. Okay, so which means you need to identify your data sources. When if I talk about any specific organization, let's take bank as an organization. Okay, and you need to identify the data sources. The bank will have multiple data sources. Okay, there will be different departments. There will be HR department, there will be finance department, there will be sales department. So each department will have their own data sets. So some people will be maintaining data in Excel sheets, some will be maintaining in SQL Server, some will be maintaining in cloud, some will be maintaining in Azure, AWS. So there is no limit for it. So it's like no single organization will be using a single data source. There will be hundreds of data sources, not just one. There will be hundreds, literally. Okay, and the data size also depends on the organizational how much of amount of data they are capturing. Okay, and now whenever we have multiple data sources, and these systems may be standalone systems, but when it comes to reporting aspect, this is a part where we'll be clubbing all the data sources into a single and creating a specific data model out of it and building the dashboards out of it. So the major steps involved would be when it comes to Power BI aspect as well. You will be identifying the data sources available in your own organization. So it can be CSV files, it can be Excel files, it can be a SQL server, or it can be uh, any cloud source as well, or it can be an API call. So there is no limit for it. So it can be anything. So you need to extract the data. Then the second important part would be you need to transform the data. So whatever the data you are extracting from your data sources are basically they are the operational databases. So which means whenever they enter a data from the front end, so the data won't be clean enough. So there will be a lot of mismatches, there will be spelling mistakes, there will be a lot of unnecessary columns, rows, there will be blank spaces, there will be a new columns that has to be added in the existing data to which will be useful to build your dashboards. So basically you need to shape the data in such a way that it is useful for the building a specific dashboard. So generally these kind of operations will be done by data engineering team in the industry. Let's say if I talk about my current organization, generally what we do, we have let's say we have thousands of data sources, and when this specific data is coming from these multiple data sources, there will be a specific team sitting on the top of dashboarding team. They're called as data engineering team. So what these people will do is they'll extract the data from these multiple sources, and they'll clean this specific data, and they'll store this data in data warehouse. So before storing the data into this specific warehouse, these people will clean the data and will keep it in a proper shape and format, so that the dashboarding team or the reporting team will be readily useful, okay, for these specific people. But when it comes to Power BI, like it has an inbuilt ETL tool. It has an inbuilt ETL tool available. Okay, it has an inbuilt ETL tool available to clean your data as well. Okay, to clean your data as well. Okay, to clean your data, you have an inbuilt tool inside Power BI which is called as Power Query to clean your data. Okay, so once you extract the data, then you need to clean your data. So where can I clean my data inside Power BI is something. I have an inbuilt tool called as Power Query. That's where I clean my data. Then I load my data. Okay, then I load my data. So these are the fundamental initial steps which involves. Okay, which involves. Then the next second important step would be you need to create a data model out of your data sets. You need to create a data model. So I think most of you are come from computer backgrounds. So if I'm not wrong, I can comfortably assume that you might be aware of multiple schemas. like star schema, snowflake schema, fact constellation schema. So these are all the schemas which are available in the market. So how people maintain data. No organization will maintain data in a fat model. Generally, what they'll do, they'll maintain the data in facts and dimension tables. So if I'm just assuming that most of you are known, because since we majorly focus on dashboarding aspect, so I'll not go very deep into explaining what a dimension and what a fact table would look like. But in general, I'll just give a gist of it. The dimension table is something like which will hold the business information, and the fact table which will generally hold the information about day-to-day operations. The transactional data will be available in the fact table. Okay, and these dimensions and facts will get into relation, and that will create a data model out of it. That is something will look like a star schema and a snowflake schema, where you'll have a facts and dimensions will be revolving each and like around each other. Okay, that's something data modeling need to be done. Okay, before building a dashboard. So once the ETL operation happens in your Power BI, then you need to do a data modeling. So once the data modeling is done, that's when the dashboarding aspect starts. Okay, that's when the dashboarding aspect starts. So this specific dashboarding aspect starts, you need to identify, I'm building a dashboard, well and good, but the question comes in is, what should I build? Okay, what kind of dashboard should I build? So that question always comes up whenever you start building any dashboard. That thing, the answer would lie on the business requirements. Okay, so let's say there will be audiences for your dashboard. Correct. Whenever I'm building my dashboard, there are clients sitting on top of my head who will be asking, I want to see so and so information in my dashboard. And what kind of information? There will be set of KPIs available. So what are these KPIs? So these key performance indicators are nothing but which will indicate how my business is performing in the market. So I have a data, and you take my data and you give me these insights so that I'll be able to make sense how my business is performing. Let's say if I am running a e-commerce website, so I'll be able to see how many people are visiting my website every day, how many people are making purchases in my website every day, what are the sales happening today, what are the sales happened yesterday, what is the stock available in my organization right now, in my company right now, and how like in which specific period the orders are more in number. Is it a specific time, it is a specific day, it is a specific week? So all these kind of insights we basically call it as KPIs, key performance indicators. Those things will be your key parameter to be whenever you are starting whenever you start building any kind of dashboard. A KPIs plays a major role. Okay, the KPIs are the parameters which will define how your dashboard should look like. Okay, so once the dashboard is done, the next operation, the next thing would be providing security. Okay, providing security to your dashboards. So you cannot just randomly publish your dashboards, there will be security on top of that. Okay, so once the security is created, then you will be deploying it. Okay, you will be deploying it into cloud. Okay, he'll be deploying it into cloud. So these are the fundamental steps involved in terms of building any dashboard. So this applies universal. Okay, if you're irrespective of the tool you're using, be it Excel, be it Power BI, Tableau, or ClickSense, or any other tool, you name it. So this will be the steps you will be following whenever a good dashboard is being built in the market. Okay, so no client will agree that if at all your data is not clean enough, the output will the numbers you are seeing on the dashboard are not in proper sync to the expected output. So no client will agree that if you are not cleaning your data, no client will agree. If there is no proper data model happening on your data set, then no dashboard will come up properly, and no client will again agree to it. And when it comes to security aspect, so there will be, let's say for example, there will be 100 audience to my dashboard. I don't want all my 100 audience to see the entire dashboard and see the entire numbers. No, there will be restrictions. Certain restrictions need to be placed on the audiences whoever is viewing my dashboard. Okay, and again, based upon their roles and responsibilities, we'll be providing security to that, so that we can, so in that way we can ensure that our data sets and dashboards are secured enough. Okay, and then the last step would be deploying your specific dashboard into cloud, so that the all your audience will be able to easily use your dashboards. Okay, so let's just jump on back to our PPT. Let's just go ahead and see a couple of pointers which I just have taken into picture. Okay, so I hope I'm clear. What are the typical steps involved in building a dashboard? Okay, so these are the typical steps involved in building any kind of dashboard. You name it, any kind of tool. These steps will be the fundamental steps. So, what are the fundamental steps? You need to identify your data sources. Okay, and then you need to extract your specific data set. So when it comes to a single data source, there can be 100 to 200 tables available, but logically for this specific dashboard, for this specific business requirement, I want only 3 or 4 tables. So you need to define those tables. You need to extract only those tables. It's not like you have 100 GB of data, you'll be importing all 100 GB of data. No, the answer is no. You will be extracting only the required tables for your dashboard requirement. Okay, then second step would be involving of cleaning your data. Third will be loading your data, and then comes your data modeling part, then comes your dashboard building part, then security providement, then the last step involves deployment of your dashboard to the cloud. Okay, now let's jump on to our thing. Okay, so if I can just take out the objective of this session. So what are we trying to do is, so the need for visualization in the data analytics. So the first thing is, so why do we need visualization is the first and foremost thing. So you might have seen a lot of Excel sheets. You might have seen a lot of Excel sheets available in the market, where you will have a lot of tabular level data, right? Lot of tabular level data available in the market. But whenever the higher management asks for a specific thing, if at all we are providing a bunch of Excel sheets or a bunch of tables in front of them, they can't make sense anything out of it, because you need to start analyzing the data. And if at all for a basic, let's say if I want to see some sales revenue for a specific day alone, that will be a big task for them. So visualization will give a bird's eye view for them, so what is happening with their business. Okay, and that's the need, fundamental need for visualization, so that they can identify patterns, okay, in their business. Then that's the one of the fundamental importance of visualization in terms of data analytics. And then we'll be learning how to use Power BI. Okay, so what is Power BI, and what are the tools involved inside Power BI? What are the services provided by Microsoft inside Power BI? We'll check out all those things as well. Okay, and we'll see the importance of shaping the data. So like we'll see how a clean data will make sense, how a non-clean data will look like. Okay, and we'll see the fundamentals of data modeling as well. Okay, so how does a star schema will look like, how does a snowflake schema will look like. Okay, and then we'll build a specific dashboard with a sample data set available with me. So we'll see how Power BI can give life to a specific data set in which is in my hand right now. Okay, moving forward. So when it comes to importance of visualization, so what are the basic things visualization can provide? So it will be more or less helpful in identifying patterns in your data sets, so that you can easily act on those specific trends. Okay, let's say if my in my e-commerce on a specific day, let's say festival is happening, and there will be a sudden spike in terms of orders are happening in a specific day. So the company is ready for next trend again. Okay, and we have multiple visuals are available in the market, and one such visualization with geo visuals which are available in the market, where you will be able to easily differentiate between the regions. How you might have seen a lot of heat maps as well, which is basically a geo kind of maps. Okay, so heat maps are very popular in terms of temperature kind of data sets, but it is again predominantly used in terms of aviation sector, in terms of sales sector also, it is predominantly used. And again, when it comes to visualization, you everybody knows that image speaks more than any kind of lines written or tabular data sets. Okay, So that's the main reason why each and every company, you take it from small to big, every company do visualization. So the only difference will remain is what kind of tool they are using it. They may be using Excel, they may be using Power BI, but irrespective of the tool, everybody is visualization is creating reports out of their data sets. Okay, so that it will make sense, it will make little sense. Okay, so this is a sample dashboard you can observe. This is a very basic fundamental sample dashboard. So this will just give an insight to the management, stating that okay, so this year's sales and versus last year's sales, the comparison you can quickly see in the month of February and March. So logically, what happened in the month of March, you can see this year the sales are more in comparable to last year. But when it comes to August, last year's sales are better than this year. So the management can quickly act. What happened? What's the difference between this year's August and last year's August? That we have there is a gap of so and so number of sales. Okay, and if you observe like total number of stores they have, and how many newly stored. I mean, which this year how many stores we have opened, and the comparison between multiple regions, and you can see a small kind of heat map as well. You can see. Okay, there's a heat map also available over here. So all these things are predominantly helpful for any kind of management to make sense in what is happening with their business. Okay, so now the major aspect comes in is Power BI versus Excel. So now the question, Excel is there. So what difference the Power BI will offer? Okay, so what difference the Power BI is offering to us so that we are moving from Excel to Power BI? Okay, the first and foremost thing is data volume. So all of you might aware that Excel can handle a limited amount of data. Let's say the general aspect is if you start loading 1 million rows, okay, that is basically 1 million rows. So Excel will start behaving weirdly. So the limitation for Excel is 1 million rows. But when it comes to Power BI, it can easily handle more than a crore rows. Okay, I'm not saying that that's a limitation of Power BI, but it can handle more than 1 crore rows. So there is no limitation in terms of that. But when it comes to Excel, we predominantly know that 1 million is the limitation in Excel, and once that crosses, it will start behaving weirdly, and it will not behave as expected. Okay, and the second thing is cloud-based features. Let's say, for example, I have built a specific dashboard in Excel. If I want to share it with my colleagues, so generally, what should I do is I need to share that specific Excel sheet where people can easily, yes, there are workarounds where I can host my Excel sheet in a SharePoint or OneDrive. They can easily access, but again, ultimately, there can be a versioning history issue happening with Excel sheets. But that's not the case, because if, I'll be having an offline copy of my Excel sheet, and my colleague will be having another Excel sheet. So logically, there won't be a point of truth. Okay, whenever we are working with Excels, that's a major issue which we face. But Power BI offers a cloud service. Okay, a cloud service, we call it as Power BI service. And you can, whenever you build any kind of dashboards, you can host your dashboards in Power BI service, and a specific link can be shared with the respective audience, and we can put restrictions on the audiences whether they should be able to just see the report, or they should be given access to the data set, or they should be able, like we'll be giving power to them as admin access to make changes to the report or not. All these kind of features can be controlled easily in Power BI, which is not possible in Excel. Okay, which is not at all possible in Excel. And then the third pointer is visualization. So we all know that Excel has a limited amount of visualizations, but when it comes to Power BI, there is no limit. There are more than 40 plus inbuilt visualizations available, and there are hundreds of visualizations which are custom build visualizations available in the market, which can be imported into Power BI tool and can be used to build various kind of visualizations with the help of custom visualizations as well as default visualizations. And those visualizations as well, there are certain visualizations which make use of artificial intelligence knowledge as well, certain aspects which is not at all possible in Excel level. So Power BI is pretty great in terms of visualization, in terms of interaction. And another aspect is the Power BI will create data sets which can be shared across, and the other audiences or the basic business users can create reports out of it, which is not exactly a user friendly aspect in Excel. Okay. Okay, and the fourth aspect is key performance indicators. The KPI aspect is a whole different thing, but here what I meant by key performance indicators are, so Power BI gives something called as alerts. Okay, for example, let's say if I just show something here, this year's sales are 22 million. Okay, and I can create alerts in my dashboard level whenever my target hits. Let's say 25 million is my target for this year, so whenever that number hits in my business, so I'll be sending alert across to all the salespeople stating that we have achieved our targets. If not, we can vice versa, we can create alerts as well. Let's say if we are not hitting a specific target, so on a specific day, we'll be sending triggers or alerts to each and every one in the department stating that we didn't achieve the expected target by so and so date. So these kind of alerts are possible again in Power BI, which is not a part of Excel format. Okay, so predominantly Power BI offers a lot more features. I just mentioned couple of features right now, and just to convince people stating that why Power BI is better than Excel, but there are multiple other features also available, and why Power BI can be a powerful tool than Excel. But again, when it comes to cell level operation, Excel beats Power BI. Power BI is predominantly a visualization tool. Okay, but when it comes to analyzation of the data, let's say if you want to make a specific analysis, Excel is always on top of Power BI. Okay, and that's the reason why we generally use both the tools in the market, and predominantly Power BI is used to handle situations like data volume and cloud-based features, visualization aspect, and vast amount of data connectors. So this is one of the foremost important feature Power BI has given, which is not available in Excel. So let's say if I talk about today, my organization has having hundreds of data sources. So let's say they're hosting the data in SQL Server, they're hosting the data in SharePoint, in OneDrive. I have CSV files, I have Excel files, I have JSON files, I have Parquet files. So there is no limit. And then my data sources also coming from the file formatting is different. The data sources coming from APIs. It can be coming from AWS, multiple S4 buckets. It can be coming from SAP HANA. It can be coming from Oracle DB. There is no limit. But so Power BI has hundreds of connectors. Okay, Power BI has more than 250 plus connectors available in inbuilt connectors where you can connect with those databases directly. Okay, and import that specific data, whereas in Excel there is a specific limitation that Excel supports somewhere around some 5 to 6 data sources. Okay, but Power BI has more than 250 plus connectors available, so that it can make a lot more difference. Like it, that makes it one of the most powerful tool available in the market. So you name it any kind of even if you name it Zoho, such kind of applications also, which are predominantly available in Power BI connectors. Okay, so these are the fundamental differences why Power BI is one of the powerful tool over Excel in terms of especially for the visualization aspect. Okay, okay. So now how to install Power BI? Okay, how to install Power BI? Okay, and here is a link available. Okay, I think I have shared that link as well previously. So this will take you to a specific Microsoft download page where you will be able to download the Power BI desktop version, which is totally free. Okay, which is totally free. So now the confusion comes is what is the desktop version and what is Power BI service. So let's quickly jump into and see the services offered by Power BI. Okay, so when it comes to Power BI, Power BI offers two services. One is Power BI desktop, the second one is Power BI service. Okay, Power BI desktop and Power BI service. So what does this Power BI desktop means? So Power BI desktop is an offline application. Okay, it's an offline application, offline app logically. You can download for free of cost. Okay, you can download it for totally free of cost. And and any kind of report building, any kind of report building generally happens on Power BI desktop. Okay, any kind of report building, okay, will happen on Power BI desktop. So which means the data extraction, transformation, and loading operation, the ETL operation also happens in Power BI desktop. Okay, and where does it happen? It happens under Power Query. Okay, it happens under Power Query. So Power BI desktop is a one single tool, okay, which is an offline application, totally free. You can build reports. Okay, you can build reports, you can clean your data. And Power Query is something which is available inside Power BI desktop. Okay, an inbuilt tool. So you might find you can find this Power Query in Excel as well. Okay, in Excel as well. Okay, so these are all the features available inside Power BI desktop. Okay, it's totally free application, you can download as a physical application, you can start working. Okay, and you can build reports and you can prepare your data, and you can do all your data model aspect as well, and data modeling aspect. And dashboard building is basically, I mean, I'll call it as report here. Okay, all these things happen inside Power BI desktop. And what does this Power BI service is, what does this Power BI service offers is, it is a cloud based, it is a cloud based web application. It's a cloud based web application. Okay, it's not for free. Okay, it's not for free. It's not for free. It comes with a cost. It comes with a cost. So what does this Power BI services cloud, what does it do? So after building my specific reports, okay, after building my specific reports, if I want to share this with my audiences, whoever with my business users, whoever wants to access my dashboard and get insights out of it, so I need to host this specific report somewhere. Okay, I need to host this report somewhere. And this hosting, if I can't just share this specific report over Teams or over mail something, because if I make any changes today in my local machine, again in my local offline application, so how can I share it with them again? Okay, I can't keep on sharing a new version every day with them. Correct. So there will be a problem with what's the truth? Is it my previous report or today's report? So I'll be hosting my reports, entire reports in Power BI service, and in Power BI service, I'll be giving security access to all those people. Okay, to all those people, so that they got access to the dashboard. Okay, they got access to the dashboard. So Power BI service is a cloud web application available to host your reports, so that it is shared across the organization. And a single report, updated report, is available in my Power BI service. Okay, in my Power BI service. So these are the two services available, which is one is Power BI Desktop, an offline application, and a Power BI service, a cloud-based web application. Okay, this is paid service. Okay, this is paid service. So logically what happened, there are multiple licenses available. There is you have something called as pro license, you have something called as premium license, and you have something called as organizational level license. So pro license is something you can get it for $10 per month, and premium will cost you some per user somewhere around $20 per month. And organization is whole different thing, that will cost around $5,000. Okay, per month. Okay, because pro and premium predominantly work on a single user, whereas the organization works on there is no limit. You can share it with multiple people in your organization. There can be 10,000 people, 20,000 people, doesn't matter. All of them will be able to get the specific licenses. Okay, so it's a completely a paid service. Okay, the Power BI service. So it's like in our offline application, we'll be building reports, but whenever we feel, no, if I want to share these reports with someone, that's when the Power BI service coming to picture, which is totally paid service. And if at all you guys have a student mail ID, or you have any organizational mail ID available with you, so Power BI service will give you a 60-day trial. Okay, they provide a 60 days trial, so you can use you can make use of that 60 days trial, and you can just go across and get familiar with the Power BI web service as well. Okay, clear? Right. So let's go ahead and just see how does my Power BI desktop will look like. Okay, let's go ahead and see how does Power BI desktop will look like, the just the basic of it. Okay, so I'll just quickly go to the downloads as well once. So if I can just say Microsoft downloads. So here you can see we have a download option. Okay, we have a download option. Just click on that and then regular format, nothing complex. It will just very quickly. And if you have like a Microsoft Store available in your laptop, you can always go ahead and install it from there as well. Okay. And the biggest advantage of Power BI, why it is getting popularity in the market, is every month, monthly once, Power BI comes up with an update. So every month, your Power BI tool, offline application, will get an update. So which means every month they are introducing new features, new applications, new things coming into Power BI. So let's say 1 year back, Power BI came up with a major announcement where they have merged data engineering, artificial intelligence, data reporting into a single platform. Okay, into a single platform, and that platform is nothing but Microsoft Fabric. Okay, Microsoft Fabric, which is totally available right now in the market, and people are working on top of that. Okay, so Power BI is just one single tool available on the Microsoft Fabric platform. Okay, so and that's the reason why it is getting immense popularity among the multiple, be it from small to big organizations. Okay, be it from small to big organizations. Okay, so now if I just open Power BI tool, okay, so let me just reopen it, Power BI desktop, which is downloaded and installed. I'm just opening it once, a new one. Let's just get familiarized with the um, tool. How does it look like? The look and feel of it. Right, right. So this is the landing page. Okay, this is the landing page. So something will pop up like this. Okay, you can just always ignore this, close it off. Okay, okay. And this is something where you can sign in with your Microsoft account. Okay, so let's say here I have signed with my account, which is my company account provided to me. Okay, so you can sign if at all you have, a specific Microsoft account available with you, or you can go ahead and create one. If you have an organizational mail ID with you, you can always register and get your 60-day trial as well. Okay, and there are multiple ways available in the market, in the Google as well, to get fake mail IDs as well, to get multiple trials. Okay, which I should not mention, but you can always make use of it. So I think students knows it very well than me. Okay, how to create multiple accounts in different places. So I wish you can make use of that one as well. Okay, and let's just get familiar with the interface of Power BI. Here, if you observe, here if you observe, uh, on left hand side you will find three different views. One is a report view, one is a table view, the other one is a model view. So as I was mentioning before, when it comes to, let's say, if we go step by step, you need to identify the data sources, you need to transform, and then loading data model dashboard, all these things aspect. Let's go and see point by point, where can I perform these operations inside Power BI. Okay, where can I perform these operations inside Power BI? First thing would be identifying the data sources, right? Identifying the data sources and then extracting the data from the specific data source, correct? So where can I find that? So here, if you observe, there is something called as, okay, there is something called as get data. Okay, so what does it says? Connect to data from multiple sources. Let's say I identify my data source as SQL. Okay, let's say, for example, if I identify my data source as SQL, if I click on that, so it gives me a common data sources. Excel workbook can be a data source. Okay, it can be an Excel workbook. And we have Power BI semantic models, data flows, data wars. So SQL Server can be another data source. So data flows are also a part of it can be a data source. Okay, data verse can be a data source. Okay, analysis service is a completely whole different thing, which generally host models in terms of live models are hosted over there. And it can be text CSV files, and your data can be web connector. Okay, and web connectors are basically if you want to call any specific kind of APIs. If I click on more, you will see a lot more options available here. Okay, you will see a lot more options available. More than 250 plus connectors are available here, where you can connect and import your data. So now the question is, any like no organization, like all, like not every organization will be using the same data sources. Okay, some may be using Excel worksheets, some may be using JSON file format, XML file format. These are file formats. And if I talk about data sources, some may be using SharePoint as their data source, some may be using SQL Server, some may be using Oracle databases, some may be using PostgreSQL databases, some may be using SAP HANA. So if you, these are the famous data sources which I'm mentioning right now. Let's say Amazon Redshift is there, okay, and you have Google BigQuery is available here. And moving forward, the latest cloud version, cloud data sources like Azure SQL database is also available, Azure Blob Storage, correct. So these are the places. And if I just move ahead and show you a few more important let's say ODBC driver can be a part of it again. Okay, so Anaplan is an famous financial application available in the market where multiple organizations use it. So you can directly connect with Anaplan application and import data into Power BI for reporting aspect. Okay, and moving forward, so if you can see, there are a lot of tools available. Lot of tools available. Okay, all of them are specific data sources. Okay, all of them are specific data sources where you can connect and import data. So the first thing is you need to identify what are your data sources. It can, okay, what are your data sources. So that's when the first step always remains. Okay, you need to identify your data source. The second step remains is you need to extract it. So how can I extract my data? Okay, so let's say for example, currently my laptop which I'm hosting, physical laptop, it can be a database, right? So I have a folder, I have a drive available here. I have this PC, this PC has a storage, and I'm hosting a specific Excel sheet here. There is a specific Excel sheet, let's say HR analytics data. A specific Excel sheet is hosted in my laptop, and my laptop will become on-premise database. And it is an Excel workbook available. The format is Excel workbook. I can select this specific Excel workbook, and click on connect. That will navigate to my laptop. It will point towards my laptop, and it will show all the Excel format reports available. Okay, it will point all the Excel format reports available. I can select any specific uh, Excel sheet. If I click on open, so logically I'm extracting an Excel sheet from my local machine right now. Okay, so my specific workbook has multiple sheets. Okay, this specific workbook has multiple sheets, so I can select the important sheets available with me. Let's say I want these three tables, or let's say two tables. Okay, so I can see here, I can load it, I can transform it. Whenever like initially I won't do the loading. Why? Because I want to clean my data as well, right? So if I'm pretty much clear, I know that my data is already clean, then there is no need to transform my data. I can easily load the data. Okay, if I just click on load, so that will automatically load those two specific tables into my Power BI. Okay, so basically what am I doing here? I'm extracting my data. Okay, I'm extracting my data. Correct. Now the second step comes in is transform. So where can I clean my data? Let's give some time for loading. Makes sense. Okay, so now here, let's say I have used get data to connect to a specific data source, which is my local machine and an Excel file. And then I have extracted a specific two tables from my data source with the help of a specific connector. And now here I can see, okay, Okay, sorry for that. Yeah. So we have extracted a specific two tables, and we can see those two tables on the right hand side. There is a tab called as data. Okay, there is a tab called as data. Under this data, you can find those two tables, and if you expand that, you will find all the columns available in that specific table. You can find all the tables available in that specific table. You can always collapse it for ease purpose. You can always collapse it. Okay. And on the right hand side, you're seeing something called as data, correct? And you can see something called as visualizations. So these are all the visualizations which are available, which will come to which will come later when we're dealing with dashboarding. We'll come to those specific visualizations. But for time being, let's try to understand after extraction, what are we trying to do? We need to transform the data, correct? So on the left hand side, you have something called as report view, and this is the place where are we going to build our visualizations. Okay, these visualizations will come into this specific place and we'll start building our reports. Okay. Okay, and on the left hand side you have something called a table view. If I click on that specific table view, that will give me a view of my tables. Okay, so this specific dim customer has multiple columns and the data rows, so I can see all those things over here. Okay, I can see all those things over here. So similar way I can see another table as well. Correct. Similar way, I can see another table as well. And now, so we got little familiarity. Okay, how to extract and where can we see our data tables. But now the question comes in is if I'm not sure my data is clean or not, I need to transform my data, which means I need to do ETL operations on top of my data. I need to shape my data in such a way that it is clean enough so that I'll be getting a proper output whenever I'm building my dashboards. Okay, so where can I do that? So if you see here, there are multiple options available, right? Let's ignore these couple of options. Let's say here Excel workbook is nothing but directly importing data from a specific Excel workbook, all these parameters. And if you see something called as transform data, if I hover on top of that, it says use the Power Query editor. Okay, use the Power Query editor to connect, prepare, and transform data. If I click on that specific feature, that will navigate to on top. If you observe, there is something called as Power Query editor. That is something called as Power Query editor. Okay, so that will navigate into ETL. Okay, to perform ETL operations, it will navigate into Power Query, and that's where I'll be able to do all my ETL operations. So now the question comes is, what do you mean by ETL operations? So what do you mean by transforming? So transforming involves removing unnecessary columns, removing unnecessary rows, handling null values, replacing certain values, making like handling spelling mistakes, and splitting the columns or merging the specific columns or creating some new additional conditional columns. Okay, or merging two or three different tables into a single table. So all these multiple aspects can be performed here inside Power Query. Okay, so if any of you are from Excel background, you might be already familiar with the Power Query, which is already available inside Excel. Okay, which is already available inside Excel. This is pretty much similar to the same. Okay, this is pretty much similar to the same feature available in Excel, where you can perform all these operations. Okay, all these operations. So let's see the some basic ETL operations. Okay, very fundamental ETL operations. So that will give a fair enough idea how powerful this specific Power Query tool is to modify your data. Okay, so here if you see, there are like so many features available. Correct, there are so many features available. Okay, let's say there are so many features available. Let's say if I make any changes, for example, let's say the first thing which we'll learn is, let's say I'll just remove some columns. Okay, for example, I have removed all the columns. Okay, and here on the right hand side you can see there is something called as properties, and then you can find applied steps. So if I perform any kind of operation here, these are all UI based operations, so I'm not using any kind of coding here to perform to clean my data. I'm not using any kind of coding. So what am I doing is I'm using all the available UI based options. I'm using all the UI based options. So whenever I perform any kind of operation, Power BI, this specific Power Query will start recording your steps over here. If you observe applied steps, so generally what happened is you have extracted the data and then you have promoted the specific initial first rows, then you have changed your data types and then you have removed certain columns. So all these steps are recorded, all these steps are recorded, okay. And every now and then, to keep safe of your changes, what you should do, there's a first option called as close and apply. If you click on that, it will give you three options. One is close and apply, apply and close. So if I just click on apply, okay, apply any pending changes. So now and then I'll be clicking on this one, apply. That will save my changes. If not, all my changes, whatever changes I'm making, will go away. Correct. Okay. Okay, I just applied it, and now I don't want this step to be, I want to revoke this step, so I can always click on this into button. Okay, there is no undo feature, like will not work here. This is the only option available. You can just click on this one and you can always come back to your step, your previous steps. Okay, you can always come back to your previous steps. Okay, you can always come back to your previous steps. Okay, and now whatever operations I perform in terms of UI aspect, this will record it here. Okay, and what if I want to see, what if I want to see these steps in a code format? Okay, if I just click on this advanced editor, just that will open something like a code language. Okay, so what does this language? So basically Power Query, okay, basically Power Query uses a language called as M language. Okay, so this is, you can call it as M language or you can call it as M query, and this is the language which is running in the behind. So whatever step you perform over in the UI based feature, so it will record it in an M language query. Okay, it will record it in M language query. So now the question comes is, do I need to learn M query to work with Power BI? The answer is no. You should be able to read Power Query now and then, but there is no need to learn M language to work with Power BI. So ultimately, what I'm trying to say is, to work with Power BI, you don't have to learn any kind of coding. This is predominantly purely UI based tool. You don't have to be hands-on experience with any kind of programming language. Okay, you just need to know the fundamentals of Excel formulas. That will make a lot more sense, and you don't have to know any kind of Python or any kind of languages. Okay, and Power BI does have an integration with Python and R languages, but if you don't want to use it, you don't have to use it. Clear? Hope I'm clear in that case. Okay, so let's go ahead and see the ETL, like the transform options features available in Power Query. Okay, so the first and foremost thing, so which is close and apply, we know. Okay, and now what does this feature means? Like if we go step by step, again this is new source, like the feature which you have seen here in the desktop level, where get data. So you can do the same thing on Power Query level as well. You can click on new source. If you want to export, let's say for example, I have exported an Excel file, okay, which is a single source. If I want to export an CSV file as CSV file, I can do that, which means let's say if my data is available in two or three different sources, can I get my two or three multiple data sources into single Power BI report? The answer is yes. You can always get data from multiple sources and you can merge it into a single data set inside Power BI. Okay, right. So now I have certain CSV format files which I'm exporting right now. Okay, okay, I have exported. Okay, I have exported. Clear, I have exported. Okay, and this data is not clean. Okay, the data is not clean. We'll clean this data as well now. Okay, we'll clean that data as well. Okay, this new source talks about again connecting to data sources. You can click on that, you can click on more, and that will give you again the same options where you can connect with multiple data sources. Okay, and if at all my data source, the famous data source where most of the Power BI projects, or at least 40 to 50% of the products, predominantly work on SQL servers. Okay, so if you click on SQL server as well, again the same thing goes in. You need to have an server name, you need to have a database optional name, so that you will be able to see. Okay, and now the question comes in is, here you can see something called as import, something called as direct query. So this is another powerful feature available in Power BI. So what does these two means is, this feature is available only to a databases, okay, only to relational databases, not to any other databases. So what does this mean? So here import means, for example, your database has a 1 GB of data. So if your data is in import mode, so all the data is coming inside Power BI. Okay, it's coming inside Power BI. If tomorrow you're making any changes to your data set in your database, that is not going to impact your Power BI data set until unless you hit a refresh. Okay, until unless you hit a refresh, your Power BI data set will not, your database changes will not reflect into Power BI. But when it comes to direct query, Power BI will not import any kind of data. So logically, your data is predominantly residing inside your database. No data is coming inside Power BI. Only the metadata is available inside Power BI for reporting purpose. So if at all you're making any kind of changes to your database, okay, that will immediately reflect in Power BI. So now the question comes is, in which aspect should I choose import mode? In which aspect should I choose direct query? The question comes in. So generally what will happen if your data set is very small in size, and if you want very quick responses, and you want to make multiple, you make use of multiple formulas, and you want to modify your data, and you have data from 3 or 4 different sources, and you want to merge them inside Power BI, all these kind of features are available when you import your data. But if your data set is too huge and you don't have multiple data sources, you have a single data source, and you predominantly know that no huge amount of transformation need to be done on your data, then you can always go with direct query. Okay, until unless that you will be going with import mode. And again, 90% of the products projects which Power BI works on is predominantly works on import mode, not on direct query. Why? Because direct query does not give feasibility to modify the data, because the data is not available logically inside Power BI. It will be available, it will be residing inside your database. But in terms of import, you can always play with your data, you can modify it however you want. Okay, clear? So that's the difference between the connectivity modes available inside Power BI. Okay, and here, if you observe, you have something called as entry data. Just ignore these all these parameters, and you have something called as refresh. So what does this refresh mean? Okay, what does this refresh mean is, let's say if any change happened to my data set and the database. Okay, let's say if today I have here, let's say 999 rows are there. Okay, the day today morning I have imported my data, and I have 1,000 rows in my data set right now, and tomorrow morning 50 more rows has been added into the database. Okay, 50 more rows have been added into the database, and now my Power BI should get all the remaining of 50 rows as well, right? Now it should be 1,050 rows. So how can I get it? So if I click on this refresh button, okay, if I click on this refresh preview button, so that will get me all the rest of the rows. The newly added rows in my database again will be fetched back into Power BI. Okay, so and how Power BI works, it's not like, let's see, if you made any changes to the previous data also, it will start reflecting. Why? Because Power BI works in such a way, whenever you're hitting refresh, with that means it is truncating your existing data, and it is reloading your data. Okay, it is truncating the existing data and reloading the data. It's not an incremental load. Okay, it's not an incremental load, it's an whole load, full load. Okay, clear? So that's the feature. This specific refresh basically works in that aspect. If you click on this one, it has refresh all, so which will refresh all the tables in a single go. Okay, and we have something called as parameters. So these parameters are again generally used for to storing the credentials of specific servers. If at all you're using Oracle DB or SQL DB, it is predominantly used to store the credentials. Okay, credentials aspect. And now let's move ahead, and we have seen this advanced editor is nothing but the whatever steps you're performing based on UI, that will be recorded over here. You can always come back here and just check out the changes. And if you are pretty much moving forward, if you get pretty much familiar with the language, you can always make changes to any kind of report or something over here. Okay, so that's one another aspect available. And now let's see few other features available over here. If you see, there are multiple features, and manage columns, reduce rows, sort, etc., etc. Let's see them. Okay, and now here let's say I have 30 plus columns. Okay, this 30 plus columns may be making sense in terms of business user aspect, but when it comes to reporting aspect, as per the KPI requirement, I have understood that, let's say, only these four columns are required for me, or let's say these five columns are required for me, and the rest of the 26 columns are not useful for me. Okay, so what can I do? So they are just consuming my space, which is totally useless for me. So I can always remove that. So in terms of cleaning aspect, the first cleaning aspect is removing unnecessary columns is one of the aspect you can always look upon. So if I just click on the remove columns. Okay, so I have selected, so let's say, six columns. So how did I selected these six columns? Okay, how can I select these six columns? So let's say I just selected, I have used shift. Okay, I have used shift, and I just selected the required columns. Okay, and then I have left the rest of the columns just like that. And then if I click on this remove option, so if I click on remove columns or remove other columns, okay, if I click on remove columns, these six columns will go away. But if I click on remove other columns, rest of the six will go away. These, like, rest of the columns will go away, but this will stay. Okay, but this will stay. Right. Just give me a second. Right. So this will remove the rest of the columns, and it will leave me the selected columns for me. Okay, so I can always revert back the changes which I have made. Okay, so here you can see removed other columns. So I can always come back. Okay, I can always come back. Okay, and if I want to remove a specific column, let's say I want to remove this specific column alone. If I click on this, and if I click on remove columns, so that will remove only the specific selected column. Okay, specific selected column. And when I have 30, 40, or 50 plus columns, if I want to navigate to a specific column, it's not possible or feasible to just move across like this. So I can always choose something called as go to column option here. If I want to go and check this gender column, I can click on this. That will navigate directly to gender column. Okay, that will directly navigate me to gender column as well. Okay, and if I just click on this, I can see what are all the values available in this specific column. Okay, what are the columns available in this specific column? Right. And then again, choose columns are nothing but which will work similar to remove columns. If I click on choose columns, that will give me an option to select only those columns which are required for me. If I unselect everything and select only a specific one or two columns, that will filter out the rest of the columns and leave me with only those four columns which are useful for me. Okay. Okay. So again, predominantly, basically, this option is managing columns. Okay. Managing columns. Let's come back and see the rows as well. Let's come back and see the rows as well. So again, we have something called as keep rows and remove rows. Okay. Again, if I want to keep only a specific top 10, 20, or 30 rows or bottom rows, okay, or if I'm giving a specific range, let's say keep the rows from 10 to 30, and it will remove the rest of the rows, and it will just keep those specific range of rows. So all these features are again basically useful for removing unnecessary rows. Okay, another important feature inside this specific remove rows is we have something called as remove duplicates. Okay, here something called as remove duplicates. So for example, let's say, okay, just a second. Okay. So what does this mean is, for example, let's say here in my customer key, this is predominant. I'm assuming from the business point of view, I'm very clear that when it comes to customer key, the every key is a unique key. Okay, every key is a unique key. Or if I come to employee table, so every employee key is a unique key. By any chance, let's say in terms of operational mistake or entry mistakes, let's say for example there are some duplicates. Let's say they have entered a specific record twice, thrice, or something, and multiple records are there in such a way, duplicate way. So what can I do that? So if I just click on this remove rows, and if I click on this remove duplicate feature option, that will remove, okay, that will remove all the duplicate values. Okay, by any chance if we have any kind of duplicates, okay, any kind of duplicates, that will automatically remove those specific duplicate keys. Okay, duplicate keys. Let's come back. Okay, and a similar way, as per the business logic goes, I should not have any blank values here. I should not have any blank values here by any chance, any kind of operational aspect. Again, if we have any, because no employee will be there without an employee key. Logically there should not be any employee, but if we have any such kind of records, those records need to be eliminated from the reporting aspect, because that will give a total wrong impression. Because how can I have data for an employee without a key? So how can I do that? Again, I cannot just go ahead and search for those employee blank rows and delete them, right? So I can always use this feature called as remove blank rows. Okay, so I can always click on that specific feature to remove. And if I have any kind of blank rows, I can always remove them. Okay, I can always remove them. That's another aspect which we have. And again, this is pretty simple aspect, which is where we have a sorting options, which we are not touching of. Okay, so sorting options. And the another feature is, okay, another feature is, let's say here right now I have something called as first name and last name. But what if my data capturing aspect, people have captured, instead of first name last name, they just captured full name. Okay, they have captured for full name. And now the question is, in terms of reporting aspect, as per the KPI aspect, we want to capture, we want to show first name as separately, second name as separately. So how can I do that? When these two names are together, I can always split the single column into two columns. So okay, I can always split it. So for now here, time being, let me just merge it for ease purpose. Let me put a separator. Let me put a semicolon as well. Okay, I have merged it. Okay, I have merged. Let's put, instead of semicolon, let's put something else. Let's put space. Okay, so now here I have merged it. Like let's say I'll start calling it as full name. Okay, this is my, let's say this is my original record, original column which I have. Okay, and now the question comes is, I want to split this into, I want to split this into a full name, into a separate, like first name and second name. That's the requirement I have as per my KPI documentation. So then I can always use this specific feature called a split by column. Okay, split by column. Okay, so if I click on this, so you might be aware, if you are using Excel level as well, we have a specific feature where we use like len and multiple other functions, where to separate based on either based on delimiter, or we use concatenate function as well for merging. And here I have used for directly UI option. So if I want to split it by this column based on a specific delimiter, my delimiter is pretty well known that there is space. So if I click on that, that will segregate into two different columns, and I can always rename them. Okay. Now if I start renaming it as first name, and if I can start renaming it as last name. Okay. So whatever changes I'm making over here, if you observe, one by one, the step has been added over here. Okay. One by one, the steps has been added over here. And if I again go ahead and check out my advanced editor, I can see those kind of changes, whatever I'm making has been recorded properly here. Okay. They have been recorded properly over here. Okay. Okay, and that's for split by column. And now we have something called as group by column. Okay, we have something called as group by. So what does this group by means? What does this group by means? For example, let's say if you take, let me just take a small example to make it better. let's say I have a sales happening in a specific company. Okay, and if I quickly take the dates of okay, and it can be something like okay, and so there can be a different date as well. So let's say I'll go with a different date as well. So it can have a whole different records. Right. So generally, what a group by means is so here in a single day, there are five records. Okay, there are five records in a single day. Correct. And now I have five records for a single day, and if I like, I don't want to maintain these many records whenever I'm doing my reporting aspect. So what can I do is I can do a group by feature. So what does this mean is I'll convert this data into something like this, something like this. So my group by will make my data look like something. I just put a sum of this is 120. So let's put the same thing over here as well. And if I just sum this one, which is 81 again. Right. So now here, if you see, I just modified this specific entire data, just 9 rows has been converted into a 2 rows. What is happening is we're just group buying based on date. Okay, based on date. Similar thing can be applicable here as well. Whenever we are dealing with any kind of sales data or something, when the data has been recorded in a single day, there can be 200 customers came and made my purchases, and I don't want to maintain 200 rows for ease purpose. I just want to maintain this specific day. This is the sale happened. This is the sum of revenue happened this specific in a single day. I can use a group by feature if I have any specific date key available on top of that. So that way, so group by is again as a feature, a transforming feature available inside Power Query. Okay, inside Power Query. Now, next comes in is data types. Okay, next comes in is data types. So what are these data types means? Okay, so whenever, if you observe here, whenever I have multiple columns here, multiple columns available, there is something called as values are available here. Here you can see there is something called as 123 is available. Here I have both ABC as well as 123, and I have ABC text is there. And if I have any kind of date column, I have something called as date symbol. So what does this mean? Okay, so if anybody is familiar with any kind of databases or any kind of SharePoint level as well, so you might be familiar that whenever we are creating any kind of columns, we will assign a specific data type to that specific column, which means only those kind of data is allowed inside that specific column. For example, employee key. So in employee key, in the database level as well, they will put a validation check that only only numerical values on that two whole numbers are allowed. Okay, only whole numbers are allowed, and we are also pretty much clear that when we load this specific data and we are assigning a whole number as its data type. Okay, we are assigning whole number as its data type. If at all if you find any kind of error inside this, let's say if you find any decimal or something, then there is something wrong with that specific data. Okay, either you need to modify it in the source, which is original data source, or you can delete that specific record from the specific data set. Okay, so that we are clear that we have a clean data. Okay, we have a clean data. Similar way, we can make modifications. So you need to check column by column. You need to check, go ahead and check column by column. Let's say here alternate key again. So I'll be giving the key. So I'll be giving it as a whole number. Okay, so you need to check column by column. Okay, to make sure what is the data type, of a specific column. Here you can see you have binary values, true or false. Okay, and here you have a text format and you have a date format. Okay, so you can again when it comes to date format, here let's say if I want date and time format, that's a whole different date format. I can take only date format. Okay, and if my data is captured along with date and I want to see only the time, I don't want to see the date, I can always check, select on the specific feature, only time can be taken. But in this data, original data source doesn't capture any kind of time, and that's why we are facing an error over here. Okay, we are facing any kind of error. Let's remove this and come back. Okay, so we have multiple data source, like data types available inside Power BI. Like if you see, we have decimal type, we have a fixed decimal type, we have whole numbers, we have percentages, we have date times. Okay, we have multiple aspects are available over here. And okay, multiple aspects are available here. And let me just quickly show you something like, let me split it. Okay, so here, if you observe the CSV format, it was initially in a single. It was initially in a single column, and now it has been splitted. When I use a split column and delimiter as a tab, it has been splitted into multiple columns. This is pretty much similar to, if you're familiar with Excel text to columns, it is pretty much similar to the same. Okay, and now if you see, my headers are saying something like column 1.1, 1.2, which is totally illogical. But my exact column headers are on the first row here. They are here, age, iteration. So I need to promote this specific row to headers. I need to promote this specific row to headers so that it is making sense to me. So here I have an option called as use first row as headers. Okay, if I click on this, okay, if I click on this, so here if you see, the first row has been moved to the headers. Okay, the first row has been moved to the headers, and there we can find all the headers. Okay, there we can find all the headers. Yeah. And now the next feature which we have is replace values. Okay, we have something called as replace value. So what does this replace values is? For example, if I want to replace mail full form with a shortcut form, I can always do this. I can find mail, which is again pretty much similar to Excel based format. Okay, okay, so that's more or less about transforming aspect. And here we have something called as merges. So this merges are again a very interesting operation, which is a bigger operation available inside Power Query. So what does this mean is, so if people are familiar with a SQL or something, so you might have heard about something called as joins. Okay, you might have heard left join, right join, inner join, outer join. Okay, left anti, right anti. So there are four joins available in SQL, but whereas in Power BI you have six joins available. So what does this join means is, let's say you have two tables. Okay, let's say you have two tables with you. Okay, if I just quickly take, let's say you have two tables available with you, table one, and you have table two. Okay, so inside table one, you have, let's say you have EMP ID, and you have their name. Okay, you have their name, and in a table two, you have EMP ID, and you have their city. Okay, you have the city. For example, if you take EMP ID as 101, and you have 102, and you have 103. Okay, and you can have etc. Some whatever name you can find, XYZ. You can find Nandesh. You can Ramya. So there can be any other names you can find. So now if I just go ahead and take this employee ID and paste it over here, and I'll just keep on giving names. Okay, and now let's say I have two different tables. So now the question is, if I want to identify, and let's say I have one more record as well. Yeah, file is something. Okay. Okay, and now I want to identify, let's say 102 employee belongs to which city. Okay, I don't have that information in table one, but that information is available in table two. So in general aspect, when it comes to any kind of organization, so they'll be maintaining data in similar way. So here, if I'll call it as employee details table. Okay, and there is some other table called as employee city details table. Okay, so the entire data is not maintained in a single table, it is maintained in two different tables. Okay, two different tables. If I want to extract this information of city information of each employee from a table 2, so how can I achieve that? Okay, how can I achieve that? So the with the help of merge queries. Okay, with the help of merge queries you can achieve that. So how the functionality will look like and will work is, let me just quickly take that small example. Let me create a table over here. Let me call it as table 1, and let me create another table, and let me call it as table 2. Okay, so let's save this something like textbook something. Yeah, let's save this something like this. And okay, let's try to uh, import data from an Excel workbook, and let's go ahead and let's import table 1, and let's import table 2 as well. Let's click OK. Okay, so now I have my table 1, I have my table 2, and I want to create a whole new table where I want to have employee name and then the city as well. Okay, so if I use this specific merge query, which is pretty much similar to SQL joins, okay, and I'll just use merge queries as new. So I want to create a third new table, whole new table. So I have my table 1, which is my left table, and I have my table 2, which is my right table, and I'll be applying a left outer feature. So what does this mean is, it will return all the rows from my first table, which is my first left table, and only the matching records from second table. Okay, so to work to make sure that whenever this kind of feature is happening, you should have a common column between the two tables, so which is the mapping column. Let's say you may call it as a primary key column between the two tables. Okay, so now what will happen? Now what will happen? If you observe what will happen, let me just expand this. Okay, let me just expand it. If you observe here, so 101 is present in both the tables, and that's why you are finding that record and that it's city as well. Okay, and it's city as well. Whereas 1023 is the same case. Whereas 104 is present in my first table, but it doesn't present in the second table, and that's why you're seeing null value. Okay, that's where you're seeing null value, and the same logic works with in a different way for left join, and this is for left join, and if it will work totally different for right join, and it'll work totally different for inner join, and for outer join, and left anti, right anti. These are the multiple features available in terms of merging. So logically what are we doing is, it's pretty much similarly to a lookup kind of thing, which is happening in Excel level, but it's a joins. Okay, so the similar features available here as well. Okay, now the another feature which we have is append queries. Append queries is nothing but you are let's say you have two tables. I have in the month of January sales, I have the month of February sales, I have two different sheets, but it has the same columns, and the same data structure is same table structure is available. I want to append, I want to keep on top of each other. So first 30 rows is for January, second 30 rows is for February. If I perform the same append query operation, this will merge two tables into a single table, and that will give me an whole new table for the entire 2 months sales record data. Okay, that's the feature of append query. Append query is a little different from merge query. It's not about looking up something and bringing an extra column. It is basically bringing extra rows. Okay, so merge queries will always get you an extra columns, but append queries will always get you an little extra rows. Okay, little extra rows. That's the fundamental difference between a merge and append query. Okay, so if I talk in terms of SQL level, so merge queries are nothing but joins, append queries are nothing but a union feature. Okay, you might have heard union all in SQL level, which is pretty much same to the same, pretty much same similar. Okay, clear. Okay, and there are some advanced features as well, like text analytics, vision, Azure machine learning. These are little totally advanced features which are in test phase right now. And text analytics is something like, for example, let's say you, for example, I have a column called as comments column. Okay, so few people might have mentioned this organization is good, this product is bad, something. So when such kind of comments are coming, if you want to identify the overall sentiment of that specific comment section, is it good, is it bad, is it moderate, what does this mean? So as a human, you need to go through each comment by comment, and you need to give, let's say if some person is saying this product is average, so you'll understand, okay, he's giving out of 5, he's giving 3 points. This product is good, you'll understand out of 5, you'll start giving 4. But so there's a whole manual task, right? But when it comes to just text analytics, so this feature, what it will do is it will analyze the sentiment of the comments, and it will give you a positive or a, it will give you a negative uh, sentiment of the specific comments. Okay, so which is completely like I'll not say it's 100% reliable right now, because since it's still in the moderate stage, because I haven't seen people in the market using it very effectively, especially at least in Power BI. Okay, and if I just move forward, okay, we have other options as well, again similar to ETL activity, transform options as well. Okay, so where you have again similar repeating pointers, group by, use first row as headers. Transpose is something which is pretty self-explanatory, I could say. And text type, data types, as I said again. So if I just click on this, I can change the data type of the specific column. Okay, and generally what we'll do, we have 40-50 columns. You cannot just go each section by section, column by column. So we generally do, what we'll do, we'll select all the columns and we'll click on detect data types. Okay, and that will give me a right data types to each and every column. And if I want to make sure, I can just go to go and check column by column. Okay, and this renaming feature is nothing but if you select any specific column, if you click on it, that will give you a renaming feature. Okay, replace values, and fill is something like fast fill feature available in Excel again. Okay, and pivot and pivot, like if you want to make change of your structure of your data where you are changing from columns to let's say if I unpivot this specific one. Okay, so where I have my name, let's say now my rows has been converted into columns. Okay, my rows has been converted into columns. So the changing the structure of the, I mean, so basically what this feature works is your columns will become rows and rows will become columns, and that's one aspect. And this is like, again, moving is something like where you can just change, let's say for example, if I want to move this one to front or little left, if I want to alter the structure of my columns, I can always do with the help of these things. Okay, to the end, if I want to moving, I can do that one as well. Okay, and here we have something called a split column. Okay, here we have something called a split column, and then we have a formatting option. Okay, and this all these features again, if I just click on my analytics here, let's say if I go to any specific date column, let's find some date column. Right, if I want to see, go ahead and take only, if I want to extract only year from this specific column, I can do that as well. Okay, I can do that as well. And if I have a specific, any specific column where I want to find the statistics of it, sum of it, or average of it, let's say I want to see total children are there. If I want to go ahead and see what are the maximum, like what are the maximum children count available, let's say means for a specific single record, I can say if I just go ahead and check, click on maximum, I can see maximum record is 5. So which means there are maximum of 5 people for each person. Okay. A similar way I can go ahead and identify for minimum as well. And if I want to identify in this column the average of it, let's say what are the average children in this specific column. Okay, so 1.8, and it goes on. That's the decimal figure which we have. That's the average of this specific column. So we can find those kind of features as well. So these are the pretty fundamental things we have. And if I deep dive into, there are few other multiple options available. Let's say if I right click over here, we have something called as duplicate, reference, enable load, disable load, creating groups, functions. As I said, it's a 40-50 hours thing to learn to master the entire tool, and I have just touched the basic fundamentals of it. Okay, the fundamentals of the cleaning and cleaning aspect as well. And if I click on add column, so you can see there are a lot of custom function, column from example, conditional column. So I'm just trying to cover as much as possible. So if I see something called as column from example, let's say if I choose, let's two columns, first name and middle name. Column from example, my favorite feature. Okay, from selection, if I just go ahead, and if I start entering, let's say John space hyphen space P. Okay, so if you observe, I just gave a pattern. So it has identified the pattern, and it has given me for rest of the records. Okay, it has given me rest of the record, and it works similar way for multiple aspects. So which is little kind of an AI feature. Okay, yeah. So and if I just click on this, I can rename it to full name. Okay, I can rename it to full name. Clear? Okay, just a second. Right. And a similar way, we have something called as view. I'll just keep on mentioning a couple of pointers as well, which are pretty important. Okay. So here you can see column distribution, column profile, column quality. So if you just start enabling them, so you can find here valid, error, empty. So let's say in my customer key, there are no empty values. Okay. All the values are valid based on this customer data type provided. There are no errors available in this specific column. Okay. Okay, and if I click on column distribution, so that will tell me how many distinct values are there, how many unique values are there. If I click on column profile, so that will start gives me the total count of it, errors, empty, distinct values, unique values. Okay, any kind of the max, average, all of the column distribution, column profile can be seen over here. Okay, column profile can be seen over here. And as I said, again, if I just right click on top of this, there are enable load feature, including report refresh feature, duplicate, reference, move to, and we have some sort of properties feature, and lot of features are available which will take time to master it. So for time being, for our understanding purpose, so if we can quickly see in this aspect right now, what you have seen right now is you have seen how to extract a data and what are the fundamentals of cleaning your data. So it can be in terms of removing columns or handling blank rows or handling data type errors, or in terms of replacing values or doing a group by on top of it, or if you're splitting your columns or merging your tables or appending your tables. So all these features what you have seen right now is basically shaping your data into a good output of tables which can be used for reporting aspect. Okay, so once all these changes has been made and you're good to go, and you're clean that your data is good, I can start building my dashboard. It is useful for my KPIs. So you can always click on this and you can click on close and apply to come out of this Power Query. If I just click on close and apply, that will come out of your Power Query, and it again navigate back to your Power BI desktop. Okay, where you will find all the 4 or 5 tables whichever you're loading in your Power Query, that will come back into a desktop, and then they are clean and ready to use for reporting purpose. Correct? Okay, ready to use for reporting purpose. Now here you can see all those 5 tables whichever I have loaded right now has came into picture here, the data level. I can either collapse it, I can expand it. Here you can find all these things. And now and now once we come back to our thing here, so we have identified the data source, the initial step, then we have extracted our data, then we have transformed our data, then we have loaded our data to desktop. Okay, we have loaded our data to desktop. The next point comes in is data model. So a good dashboard again depends on the good data model. So what does a data model means? As I said, um, let's say let's say for example a bank is there, and a bank will not maintain their entire data structure in a single table, right? They will have multiple tables, they'll have dimension tables, they'll have fact tables, and there will be schemas running behind to maintain relational databases. And how a relational database will work on facts and dimensions. So when you are extracting the specific data from multiple sources or from a single source also, you need to create a similar kind of data model in your Power BI as well. Okay, so once your data is built, once your data is cleaned, then we'll navigate to Power BI desktop. The next step would be of building a data model. Okay, building a data model. So how does a star schema will look like? How does a snowflake schema will look like? Which we'll try to cover it in tomorrow's class. And in tomorrow we'll see how a data model will look like, how to build a data model inside Power BI. Then we'll jump on to looking our specific data set. We'll take an HR data set, okay, and we'll see the list of KPIs or the business users requirements, and then we'll start building a dashboard out of it. Okay, clear? Let me. I mean, if I can I just get some yeses yeses in the chat? Right. So I can see some like people are asking to share the data sets, which I'll be sharing it soon. Okay. So I'll share it in the WhatsApp group so that you guys can now you know how to extract and be it ready with the data set. So I'll share that specific data set with you so that tomorrow's class, when we are building that specific visuals, you guys are also ready with the data set. Okay. So I hope like I made my point clear. So tomorrow we'll be looking at how a data model will look like, how to build a data model inside Power BI, and the fundamentals, like what is a star schema, what is a snowflake schema, the fundamentals of it we'll look into. Then we'll move ahead and start building our dashboard. Okay, and in a similar aspect, so while building the dashboard, you will get introduced to a specific language called as DAX language. Okay, so DAX language is nothing but data analysis expression available inside Power BI that will help you to write formulas inside Power BI. So how in Excel you write uh, sum if count a multiple formulas. So similar kind of logics you will be able to write inside Power BI with the help of DAX language. Okay, clear? Can I get some yeses in the chat? Great, 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 great. So I think I'm pretty much done. I can take one or two questions in the chat box if anyone would like to, like, any kind of doubts or something, which I can address if I have time today or tomorrow as well. You just drop in any kind of doubts you have so that I can cover it in tomorrow, whatever happened today. Can we apply? Yeah. Okay, so we have 4 more minutes. So I can take one or two questions if anybody is dropping any questions in the chat.
Any questions? Participants, if you have any question, you can ask or you can put it into chat box.
Okay, so if I talk about this one, like let's say how this tool support any specific startup. So I would say, let's say if you guys have a team of 20 people, and there is a specific sales team which is running up and behind, and they're maintaining a specific data sheets. And from a manager point of view, You might have a specific product, or you might have any kind of data. So from a specific management point of view, you should have an insights of your business, right? So how do you get that? So generally, for example, how my business is performing in terms of financial aspect, I'll look at my financial dashboard. If I in terms of my sales aspect, I'll look at my sales dashboard. In terms of my some other, like let's say in terms of HR aspect, I look at my HR dashboard. So if you just ask in that potential management point of view, and you got to need a specific pattern to identify, right, what is happening with my business. You cannot just randomly look at tables and make sense out of it. So be it startup or be it big organization, doesn't matter. So dashboards or reports are something which is very much useful. I will not say that this specific tool can make any lot more difference, but all the reporting tools will make a similar difference. And if we talk about, can we represent our data set or data called into graphs and yes, we can. Yes. So our data set and our data sets and our like whatever the data which we are preparing right now, that can be represented as graphs and charts. Okay, so that's our next target. So as I said, when we are running in this specific pattern, now we have cleaned our data. So we'll be building a small data model, and on top of that we'll be building a graphs as well. So now tomorrow's class, what we'll do, we'll be splitting it into two parts, right? So tomorrow's part will be covering on our data set. We'll be taking a list of KPIs, and we'll be preparing charts out of it. Can you save the file of Power BI without cloud-based service? Yes, you can save your Power BI files and you can keep it in your local machine, but you cannot publish into Power BI service without license. Okay, okay, okay. So we can.
For all the participants. I hope everybody has gained a lot from this session. And sir, this is a request from participant side that they want the same data set on which you are working so that they can also do the same with you parallelly.
Sure, I'll be sharing it in the WhatsApp group.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you so much. So, dear participants, tomorrow we'll meet at the same time, 2 p.m. Kindly join on time. And tomorrow only, at the end of the session, we are going to share one feedback come attendance link with you all in the chat box. So, you have to fill that form. And afterwards, in a week or so, you will get your e certificate for the participation. So, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for your valuable insights and time, sir. Dear participants, you can leave for today.